Hey, Adam, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. How are you?
Doing fantastic.
Good, good. Hey, I want to get into a lot of good stuff here. But first, I always like to start these out by understanding how you got started in the industry.
So I was in law school in 2004. I had my whole life, all I ever wanted to do was run for office since I was a little kid. It's like the first thing I could ever remember wanting to do was my only interest. And after college, I worked on Capitol Hill, had a really awesome time there for 4 years. And I went to law school to kind of just get one step closer to running for office. And while I was there, it was my first time not having a job since I got a job at McDonald's when I was 14. And I love to work. My identity is working hard, for those that know me. So this is the first period that I didn't have one or two or three jobs, and I was going crazy. And my dad was helping me pay for law school, and his condition was that I don't work. So I like focused and got good grades. And I told him that I was just going nuts. And I said, you got to let me get a job. And he said, you can you can work as long as it doesn't interrupt class. Like, I don't want you to change your class schedule and whatever. And I always, listen to whatever my dad says. I've always been that way. I was raised by a single dad, and I pretty much ask his advice on everything. To this day, me and my wife ask him permission for anything. So he said, "Yeah, you get a job. It's got to be part time." Um, so I went on monster.com and typed in part time work. And the first thing that populated, that auto populated, it said part time work, full time pay. And it was a home fix ad. So I went in and interviewed with Taupe. Um, and it was pretty much that was the beginning of the end. So yeah, I went in and I had no idea what sales was or commission was, or you know anything about, I never done anything even close to this industry. Never imagined myself doing anything like this. Um, and he sat me down and explained to me what they did for a living there at Home Fix, which was so foreign to me. And at the end, he's like, "We start you at a $500 a week draw." And I about jumped over the table with excitement that there was something I could make $500 a week, and it was only at nighttime. So I went home to my dad and I told him what it was, and he said, "Well, you could do it as long as it's not straight commission." So I lied to him and said, that it was not, which of course it was. And I took the job, and then um, I found that it was definitely my calling in life.
That's awesome. That's funny you said that. Like I also went to law school at a
Oh,
point,
really? Where?
and Charlotte School of Law, it's down in North
Okay.
Carolina.
I was at
Um,
University of Baltimore, which is Harvard on Charles Street. But
there you go.
anyway,
Now,
but
did
anyway,
you
go ahead.
did you did you finish your law degree?
No, so I was in my first semester when I took this job, and then I, so I really took to sales. I was able to make, I'm a really hard worker, so I worked
Yeah.
harder than all of my peers. I ran every lead, anywhere, anytime, any place. If it was a 9 o'clock lead 2 hours away, I want it. If it was, for a door and it was, one legged, I want it. And I was good at making relationships fast. I still to this day have, like, remember and have contact with some of my customers from back then. And I sold, you know, I did really well. I made more my first month in home improvements than I made the entire year before working on Capitol Hill. So
Yeah.
I did stay in law school for the whole that whole year, but then the founder of the company, Toph, who hired me, convinced me to move to New Jersey and take over the operations up there. And that's when I deferred law school and then decided to never go back.
Yeah, I only made it through my first year as well. As we
Uh,
call it 1L.
yeah, yeah,
But it was in between that summer of my first year, and my second year, where I had gotten back into like I started as a laborer and tearing off roofs and installing and doing all that, and then I went in the Marine Corps, did that when I actually got out because I had applied to law school and got accepted, and I said, all right, because I'd also applied to officer candidate school and I was going to do that as well, but I said, okay, I want to go to law school. I went to it. I didn't like it. It was to me, it was too, I don't know, too much gray. And it's funny,
Mhm.
after law school, I got back into roofing and got into sales, and kind of similar story. Um, but then I also got an accounting degree at night because I just wanted that black and white.
Yeah.
And they were just so polar opposite and different. But that's an interesting story. So you get into Homefix, you're doing well at sales. How did you realize that, like, hey, this is it. This is where I want to be. I'm going to continue to grow and mature in this, or did it just happen? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, I would definitely say it more just happened.
Yeah.
You know, I the income obviously, that you could make in this business was really cool. It was something I wasn't used to. I have the best wife on the planet that I've been with since before, since back when I worked on Capitol Hill. So we've been together almost 20 years. Maybe we're at 20 years now. And she made more money than I did back then, and took care of me. And so it was nice to flip that the other way around and be able to, buy her nice things and take her places. And so that was definitely part of it. And then, the same way I just kind of fell into sales, I fell into management. I had no experience managing. And what was happening was, in New Jersey, Homefix was not able to really get off the ground. They'd been open for a few years, and they'd been through a cycle of managers, and every time it was, the prices are too high, or the labor's too scarce, or too bad, or the people are too mean, or it's too competitive, too saturated, whatever the reason was. We can't do it in Jersey. And so Tope came to me and said, look, I want you to go live in a hotel for 30 days. And at that point, I closed my entire career there over 70%, which obviously is high in this industry. And I'm really not the greatest rep on the planet. Like I said, I just work really hard and able to make relationships, and I'm not afraid to ask for the business. So he said, so if you go to Jersey and you close anything, even 50%, I'm going to shut it down. But if not, then I know it's the people, it's the managers, and it's not the market. So I went up there and I learned the lesson that all of us have learned 100 times in this business: is it's always the people. I sold. Now, the people are horrible, and Jersey is the worst place on earth. But I figured it out, was able to sell for the time I was there. So after that month, he said, look, we want you to, why don't you take over the Jersey office? And I said, no, I'm running for office. I'm going to be the next, governor of Maryland. This is not my future. And he made an offer that was pretty substantial and generous. And I went, of course, back to my dad and ran it by him. And surprisingly enough, he actually encouraged me to do it. And so I put my dog in the car and went and got a one-room apartment with a mattress on the floor and a TV sitting on the floor, and ran Homefix New Jersey. And I just kind of did the same thing I did with sales, where I made relationships. So I immediately, learned got to know the sales reps as people, and went out and ran leads with them, sold them, gave them the deals. And then next, I made a relationship with the marketing manager and made sure he knew that I was working for him. And I went out with the canvassers and generated leads and led from the front. I would sit with the call center, and I just always thought of everyone there first, and then made sure that they were successful and they would take care of me. And the Jersey office went from the worst of 7 to the number 1 office by the second month I was there. And then we were just the top office the whole time I was there. So I think that's where I kind of got addicted, was, all these people that, now look up to me. It's my first time in leadership, and they're just following me and believing in me. And it can be, really exciting. So I think for the next, probably 3, 4, 5 years, I was just on autopilot. I just loved, just getting better and better and being able to build and grow and just surround myself with all these awesome people. And probably it just got to the point where it was, I wasn't qualified for anything else anymore. There's nowhere else to go. I was sucked in.
Yeah. This industry tends to do that to you. You're like drawn in and you're just here for life. Yep. I got to ask you, like, why do you think more people don't know about these opportunities? Like you didn't know about it until you searched for this type of thing.
I didn't know. And nobody I know knows anything. Like when I meet, nobody knows what I do, right? They think, whatever they think, it's always wrong. They just, we are a kind of a hidden thing. So why? One thing I joke is, window salesman is like one step below cell phone salesman in the mall. So it's definitely not something to be proud of and brag about at parties. So, there's a lot of other sales type jobs, such as, real estate agent or mortgage broker that are, the barrier to entry is low. Okay. So people with natural talents, great people skills, the things that lend to success in this business, they can get in those and kind of be more proud to say, all right, I got a job that I can put a suit and tie on and make a really good living without a college education I don't know. I'd also say it's the hardest sales job to really be successful at. I mean, the mental abuse alone, you have to take so much rejection and you have to drive endless miles and have a unfixed schedule and just go through a lot to be successful. So even if you have the natural skills, just the wherewithal to survive in it, I think is probably a detractor. And then on the other side of it, there's people that have amazing talents that can do almost anything, but to be able to go into someone's home and talk them into buying something they don't want, right? So everybody wants a car, everybody wants a mortgage to buy a home, everyone wants a new basement or furniture, all those things you want. Nobody wants a roof and nobody wants windows. So to sell something you need is definitely harder.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always curious on this. Like, how were you mentally able to overcome the objections, especially early on? Did you feel like I made a mistake? Like, what am I doing? Like, how'd you overcome those?
Yeah. So I think, I am uniquely wired for this. Like I said, my first month I ran 30 leads and I sold 29 and I didn't know anything. And I just believed in what I was doing so much. I really made Homefix live up to all the things, the crazy stuff I promised in the home too. I mean, I practically, I really sold what we did and our warranty and our quality, but I would just, force us to live up to it. And just, for me to be able to put my head on the pillow at night, I would make sure that we gave our customers an exceptional experience and would just do anything to make them happy, that we could guarantee satisfaction, because I just would not stop until they were happy. So because I knew that was on the other end of it, I really was not afraid to really keep asking for it. So I developed those relationships in the home. The people would believe in me and trust me, and I developed a relationship with them and really invest in them. And then it would just be silly for them to get a roof from anybody else. It just wasn't an option. Now, as time went on, being straight commission still with all of us, it's really daunting. And once you start making money, you don't want to lose it. And you're like, oh my gosh, you miss one lead, you think it's all over. So I would just say I've always prided myself that I thrive in failure. It doesn't scare me at all. My biggest hero, he's up on the wall up there. You can't see it, but is Winston Churchill. And I've always been a huge he's always been my hero and role model. And that guy failed more than anybody, and yet, you know, he saved the free world from the Nazis. So I've always lived by that. Like, I'm just, failure just motivates me more and more and more. So I think that wiring in my brain, that I'm not afraid of failure. I'm not afraid of feedback. I thrive on, you know, criticism and how I can be better, that I was uniquely wired for it. I also had a really, really difficult childhood. So I've been beaten down for 18 years. So nothing that this business could do me compared to how crappy it was growing up.
Yeah. I understand that. Being in the Marine Corps, I had 2 tours in Iraq, and when I got out, people were like, I'd go to a job interview, and they're like, well, what do you do if a customer is upset with you? Right. I'm like, look, I just came back from having bombs fired at me, being shot at. Like, a customer upset is not going to, you know, throw a wrench in my day.
I was that's awesome. And thank you very much for your service. I was just on the phone with my buddy, Aaron Magden, who, you know, and he's doing a JACO leadership conference thing that definitely mirrors what you just said. Is, you know, the lessons learned there, you can survive anything.
That's one of the Extreme Ownership is one of the books I have on my bookshelf here. Yeah, it's super good. Like, I mean, I recommend everybody read that. It's a really good book, and we got to see him down there in QR Top 500 Live as well.
Freaking great, man. I love him, and I loved that, just a short video, the good video.
Yes,
that one. I actually watched that yesterday. I definitely need that reminder sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, that's great. Well, also, I'd love to also talk about. Well, I guess first of all, you've obviously watched the movie The Darkest Hour?
Absolutely. I've seen everything on Winston Churchill you can imagine.
Yeah, I just got to see that maybe last week. And, you know, with all the things in the news, I was like, oh, man, is history repeating itself or what? But Darkest Hour was a great movie. And Winston Churchill, there's definitely a lot of lessons to be had there.
He is absolutely probably our modern times greatest hero. So we would not be where we were without him. And yeah, tons of lessons. And that movie says it right, because the whole world was against him. And he's the only one that was willing to stand up to Hitler. And thank God he did, because we wouldn't be here if he didn't.
Yeah, it'd be a whole different place, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to continue the story and just sort of, you know, expand upon your roots and going to the New Jersey office. And what happened next? You're not in New Jersey anymore. So like what happened?
So I, you know, being young and having, things are just so different. The perspective, like I mentioned, my wife I have the best wife. I tell everybody I have the best wife on the planet. And it's really the reason I'm successful. And, you know, back then when I was 24 years old, I actually couldn't wait to get away from her. Right. So I just wanted to go up to Jersey and eat pizza and hang with my dog and be on my own. But then, you know, I started missing her. I couldn't wait to get back. So I just wanted to get home. So I took over I was able to take over the Virginia office, Northern Virginia, Fairfax.
Yep.
And back then, Homefix was they had about 7 offices, and each one did between $1 million and $2 million. So they were, say, about an $8 million company. And I went to Fairfax, and that's where I kind of really figured out canvassing. It wasn't about generating leads. It was about generating people. And I focused all my efforts on hiring canvassers, getting them in. I ran ads everywhere you can imagine. Before that, we only really did field recruiting, but this is where we started. We would put an ad anywhere in Craigslist, because it was just kind of the rise of Craigslist. Anywhere you could put an ad, I'd put something, right? Craigslist, it would be nursing, or, you know, if there was a section, I would run an ad, and it would just say something very generic, and I'd get people in. And then, you know, we'd pay a lot of money for canvassing. It was a commission, a lot of opportunity, and I would hire anybody. And this was also right around when the housing bubble burst. So we shot up to, 16, 17% unemployment. So the availability of people to work was high.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I looked up and we went, it was $1 million office when I came to Fairfax, and very quickly grew it to 10, 12 million just in that office alone. And then my now partner, then the founder of Homefix Taupe, came up with the very, idea very ahead of his time, ahead of, where we're at now, to start a solar company, and started Solar Energy World back in 2010, which created the opportunity for me to present him a plan. I think we still debate who came up with the original plan, but I wanted to, look, let me run Homefix, where you focus on growing solar, and I want to grow it to be, one of the largest home improvement companies in the country. Now, at that point, we were a really thriving, successful, profitable home improvement company. So I'm not sure if he's doesn't still sometimes regret giving me the reins at that point, because I wasn't really worried about being profitable. I just wanted to be the biggest and baddest home improvement company in the country. And so we started. So anyway, he named me CEO of the company. He really, he focused his efforts on Solar Energy World, and I started focusing on just repeating what we were doing on a large scale. And our growth plan kind of really started taking off around 2013. And between 13 and all the way up until COVID, really, the growth was, we were successfully grew, by double-digit amounts year after year.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story. And so, where's Homefix at today? I mean, first of all, what do you guys specialize in? Obviously, roofing and windows and those kind of things. But what all do you do, and what's the shape and structure of Homefix today?
Yeah. So today we're in Maryland, Northern Virginia, Richmond, Norfolk, which is Southern Virginia, Raleigh and Charlotte, and Tampa. We are still very much a canvassing company. We're, one of the few still holding strong to it. It's not easy right now. Hiring people is the most difficult it's ever been, especially for jobs like canvassing or, install, which everyone knows. Call centers, really tough. But we are still holding strong to being a mainly canvas company, because it's what we know. We are, focused on windows, roofing, and siding. We had been a pretty even split between windows and roofing. Windows kind of really took off in the last couple of years, where roofing did not. I think the storms that happened in 18, the windstorm in the Mid-Atlantic, and then just a lot of hailstorms probably lowered demand, softened demand a little bit. But it's back on the rise big time. We're really focused on it. The pricing that's in the industry is not helping. When you're offering the warranty that we offer, the experience we offer, and you charge for it, that difference starts expanding as these material costs have shot up.
Right.
But yeah, that still is our core business. We have a bath solution that we've launched in the last year. Been a little bit slowed by both materials and labor, since we started during COVID, but we are really optimistic to kind of grow that side of the business. We really like, for the first time, being able to sell something people want. And then Solar Energy World, under Taupe's leadership, has shown incredible growth, and they're on a rocket ship right now. They were about the same size as Homefix. They were both $50 million companies, and now it looks like they're clocking $8 to $10 million a month. So it looks like they're going to do about 80, 90 million this year. So Homefix, to kind of catch on that wave, has introduced the new solar shingle, the Timberline HDE, I think they're calling it. So the new solar powered shingle and we're super excited about getting that to market. And we think it's going to make a big impact and really be a big disruptor in the future when they can make enough of them for it to be one.
Yeah. Have you been able to see one in person yet?
Um, I have not seen one in person. I've seen videos of them, of the install, pictures of them. I love the guys over at GAF Energy. They're really cool. I've really kind of made friends with Jason, who runs it. But I keep begging him for an actual shingle, and I can't get one. So this thing's in
I
such demand, I can't even get one shingle.
Yeah, I got to see it down at IRE.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
it was pretty cool.
So yeah, I walked over to IRE when I was down there, when you were
Yeah.
there, and I walked down there just to see it. And I got there, it was like I had my talk at like 8:30 in the morning, so I got up early and walked over like 7, and they weren't open.
Yeah. Yep.
So and then I tried walking over there again, I think after, and they still hadn't opened yet. So yeah, I didn't get to see it, but I'm hoping to see our first install in April.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be interesting to see. I'm excited to see that progression because I think it has the potential to bring solar to the masses. I think in a aesthetically pleasing way and just a whole
Yeah.
an easy to install way. So yeah, I'm excited to see that.
The install is huge. It's applicable for way more homes, than a traditional solar. So I don't think they're both going to have for now, solar energy world's not going anywhere because the retrofit market is still going to be big. Anybody that got a roof in the last 10 years, this isn't applicable. And still with the technology, with the economics, if it's purely, savings, you're going to win with panels. But a lot of people care about what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
The ease of application is uncomparable. The warranty is definitely uncomparable. It looks like this thing has some serious longevity to it. And as they advance it and as they make it more available, I think it could be a huge disruptor, really even to the roofing industry. Because if I'm going to get a roof and I'm going to spend 40 grand on my roof, and, I could spend 20, 30% more, get a tax credit, and it powers my home, and starts making me money, it's going to be very attractive.
Yeah, no, I agree. I wanted to touch on two things you talked about. One was hiring, and the other was about like increasing costs, both labor and material.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you tackling hiring and training and retention? It's something I hear a lot about.
Yeah, so it's something we focus on constantly. I've said for years, if you ask what Homefix is, it's a recruiting company, because I am just my livelihood, my success is a mathematical, an algebraic equation of how many people I input, what comes out the other side. And that goes to installers, sales reps, call center. So I think we definitely have a competitive advantage in hiring. I think we're really, really good at it. I think we're good at retention. I think we figured out, on the install side, what installers want, what makes them happy, what retains them. That's, something that we've become really good at. On the sales and canvassing side, it's the stuff that we all know, and it's hard to practice, is people are taking a job for more than a paycheck, especially now when it's knocking on doors, especially now when there's all these crazy alternatives to working, where a lot of people are getting paid to not work, which I'm not a big fan of. But so it's hard to inspire people to come in and want to, be something and want to, work for their paycheck, and we have a really incredible recruiting department, which led by Susan, who's my head of recruiting, and her team. And if I think, and they're all, really, really talented. If I would just say, besides just, the typical, the ways that they bring people in, if I were to say the one thing that makes them really special is the level at which they are experts of what we do. So her recruiters know our jobs, know our company, probably maybe better than anybody that works here, including me. Like, they can interview for any job we have, they can recruit for any job they have, they can screen people, they can land people, they're fully turnkey. You name a position in my company, there's a lot of them, and they can fill that position without anyone. I mean, they can recruit them, retain them, bring them in, land them, and even be part of the retention, because they're really invested in the culture of the company, and making it a place people want to stay.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying they're really invested in seeing the fruits of their labor. They want to bring good people here, and then they want to make sure that we don't lose them.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's a problem I hear a lot about, and not just in this industry, but every industry.
It's incredible. I think the one thing that I've learned is not like you're better off just not acknowledging it. You know what I mean? It's all just a problem. It's just a problem we got to solve. So, one of them, in 2008, when the market crashed, I was like, oh my God, it's all over. And then I figured, you know what? Even if demand falls to nothing and it's 10%, then I just need to get, X number more leads, and I'll still be able to be successful. So right now, I just know that I'm going to use the advantages that it's going to lower the barrier. It's going to increase the barrier to entry to get in this business and be successful. It's going to get people out of it. So, I'll have less competition, less people knocking on doors, or less people selling, et cetera. So the only way that I know how to beat this is to, one, power through it and work with just as much vigor and excitement and energy and enthusiasm as if it wasn't going on. And two, look at every little problem, analyze it, and just to every problem, there's an answer, no matter what.
Yeah.
So if hiring's a problem, there's always a solution. So we're definitely looking at that one on a daily basis. I don't think there's anything we talk about more at the office than how do we bring more good people in.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
People hire people. During last year, we lost like half our sales force due to whatever, all the other things that are going on out there. We have a straight commission, 1090, all 3508, 1099 contractors as our sales reps, and we lost all of them basically.
Wow.
Or a good huge portion of it. We had huge turnover, and I started and focused on recruiting and bringing in the right leaders first, and we put them, and then all of a sudden, voila, we have as big a sales force we ever had. So we're back fully stocked and growing fast.
It's awesome. On the flip side of that, how are you handling the increase in costs for both material and obviously labor? It's a mindset too, because it really sucks. The big players that are out there that have the infrastructure, offer the level of experience, customer experience, employee space we do, have to put a margin on it that's probably bigger than the little guy out there. And because of that, these price increases affect us disproportionately. I think I handled it the wrong way last year. I absorbed a ton of those price increases out of fear of disenfranchising my, managers or reps. Didn't work out well for me. So what am I doing now? I'm increasing my pricing, and it is what it is. And I'm teaching my guys to how to tell our story better, and how to, sell our products better, and get, be able to get paid the same margin that we were paid before. There's really leveraging other products is not really an option right now. There's just, all the prices are going up, and it's just a shell game. Yeah. It's another one of those challenges that everybody's facing and working to tackle. With the time we have left here, I want to talk a little bit more about some of the initiatives and things you're working on now, what you're most excited about, and where you see not only Homefix but yourself and the industry kind of going in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. So I'll give you a few quickly. So in 2016, A company that we had used and a ton of people in this area had used for many, many years was Mid-South Building Supply. They got purchased by SRS. Then they only really wanted the roofing, portion of it, because that's really what SRS's specialty is. So they had a turnkey M&I window division, which was, measure and install and distribute and supply windows. They weren't super interested in. So the former owners and some of the remaining owners opened a new company called Exteriors, etc., in Beltsville. And it was just, the writing was on the wall that, the people, the owners were getting older and at the end of their careers. And it seemed like that business wasn't going to be around too much longer. And which all the, if you look at the qualified remodeler, the top, 40 that are on there, all probably was started in College Park and used Mid-South as their supply. So they were definitely a legend in the industry. So anyway, I approached along with my partner Tope, the owner of Exteriors, formerly Mid-South, and asked to purchase, in an asset purchase, what was there and preserve jobs for everyone who was left there. And our goal really was twofold. To be able to offer a better experience for our customers, and to own, we had 20, 30 years of warranty, and we paid them to honor our warranties. And it was a big number. So I said, we got to be able to do this better. And the other was to kind of get into the commercial side of the business. I was really interested in B2B, in selling, these bigger jobs. And they had a pretty substantial customer base. So we did that. It had 20 employees when we bought it. Some trucks and some other things. We kept, I think, 16 or 17 of the 20. And today that company, we renamed it Installation Services. Today that company has over 100 employees and has a massive property management division, commercial construction division, doing big $1 million, $2 million projects. It formed as a government contracting division that turned into a residential remodeling during COVID because the bases shut down.
Right.
So that is, and a small portion of it was turnkey install for some of our competitors and peers in the industry. So that portion of it, where I was going with it, did two things for me. One, it really showed me how much I love selling to my peers, is the same customer base you sell to, and I've talked to you about that before. I absolutely love it. I think one thing that's cool is most of the people in this industry at this point, we treat each other really well, and it's like almost like a fraternity. Everyone I meet in this industry is great, and I learn from them, and I enjoy being part of it. I have a litany of contractors that are out there that I started working with at Installation Services when they were $1 million, and now they're 10 or $15 million. And I got to mentor them or be part of it. And I get a ton of fulfillment out of that. I even have probably a dozen or so that worked for me and have gone and started their own. And, I'm one of those people where I support you. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to go out and make something yourself, I'll just help you with it. And hey, if I can be part of it, even better. So that got me into two things, which is, my real, I think is exciting, run really great for me, but also for the industry. So because I had this, I was able to open a business that sold to my peers and make it different, right? It could be how I guess back when I went from sales to management, I wanted to manage how I wanted to be managed as a sales rep, right? That's what I was looking for. So I want to be that leader that was the leader I always wanted. In Installation Services, I want to be the labor, the install side that that I wouldn't typically get, right? You get a lot of experiences of suppliers or install treating, just not treating the contractors well, not understanding what it takes to get that contract, and then once you do, how you have to own it with sacred you treat it like it's your own, and be in that partnership to make the contractor better. And that was really cool. I got to do things that, it just no one else did. So so long story short, I opened a finance company along with my partner Tope and two other partners, Tony and Ed, that are, it was really cool to get the team up with these guys. And the goal was to do the same, open a finance company that was a little bit different, that all the things that we wish the finance companies did, just be in more partnership with the contractors to really be on their side to help their business grow and thrive, and is be contractor focused, right? If our true guiding light is to make the contractor better, then we'll be successful. So I got to do that, and it's been an amazing opportunity, amazing experience, and we've had just really great success, which I'm so happy with, and really kind of humbled to get to be part of these great contractors, and that they invite me into their business and let them be part of it. And then the other side too is it opened my eyes to the ability to sell virtually through technology like Leap and others, and through financing. The ability to get, how advanced we are, and in a click of a button, we can have people approved, and the pre-approval process that we do now. And as well as the COVID, but when putting all those together, and I had the infrastructure of it, because I had installation services all up and down the East Coast. I was able to build a pretty cool, robust virtual sales. So when I say, do I think, you say where we're going, I hope and think, I try not to ever give definites, that we're always going to be able to sell in the home. And I still think now that the in the home has a leg up, but I think there's a huge opportunity for all the contractors out there to be selling virtually, at least to be part of their business, not necessarily all of it. And, it's definitely something that I think is going to expand greatly as technology gets better. There's, Hover is, one technology for measuring remotely, but there's others coming, and there's others that I've gotten to play around with for the interior that are really interesting, and we're starting to demo, which all lead to that, kind of hands-off experience. People, people like to communicate in different ways now. I think we'll be selling by text message at some point.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild ride. I think these next 3 to 5 years, seeing how the industry evolves and what it looks like, because I think it will look a little bit different than it does today, or even a couple years ago. We are a little bit over on time, but I wanted to ask you, for the folks that are listening here, you've experienced a lot from not knowing anything about the industry to being heavily involved now in different aspects of it. What advice do you have for others that may be listening to this, that are still working through the early days of their career, and maybe even a sales rep, not sure that if this is for them, or a business owner that's like, struggling through it? I mean, what advice do you have, having been through sort of this process now?
Yeah. So it's pretty, it's easy. It's always easier to give advice than take it and live it. So I guess my simplest one that I start with is prioritization. It's so hard to stay focused on the priorities. Even as a sales rep, you get distracted, start pointing your fingers at other things and looking at like your turn down rate, or that your leads, just focus on being, 100% the best at your job, and do, everything you can to the best of your ability, and, with maximum effort. So I've always won by outworking people. I wasn't, born with a lot of the natural skills that others have. I just work really hard and keep a good attitude. So one is just prioritize and stay focused. That translates even more when you're talking to business owners, leaders. It's really easy to get distracted, to start looking at, to start thinking, you don't want to, it gets old doing the same thing every day and grinding. It's got to get easier, right? There's got to be a way that this could be a lifestyle job. We are not being a window siding roofing contractor is not a lifestyle business. This is something where it needs to be nurtured and managed at every given second. And the second you start, wanting to work hard and really own every aspect of it, someone else is going to do it. And there's a reason that you could be so successful here is because it's so hard. So, I think that also goes with I've seen people get too kind of high on themselves and like drinking their own Kool-Aid, and those people are not as successful. There can be, if it's a great industry where you can be very successful, but then all of a sudden you can start to think that you are the reason that, that you're so great, instead of realizing what got you there was you were able to lead from the front and recruit great people and motivate them to want to work with you and make money and be successful together. But when it comes too much about you, then they're going to want to go do it for themselves. So, they're not going to feel that commonality or that motivation to be part of something special with you together. Yeah. So of the great leaders I know and friends in this business, like my buddy John that owns Long Fence, and there's so many of them, but Nick up at New Pro and Ed down at Paramount, and oh man, there was who was I just talking to that was just a total embodiment of it. But anyway, these guys love their people, and they're just not, they don't forget where they came from and who got them there. And it's just not, there's a reason they are so successful. Right. Yeah. I think that is staying humble. It's not just a catchphrase or something. You gotta live by it, and you gotta remind yourself of it every day.
Yeah. Excuse me. Absolutely, Adam. Well, we are out of time, but I want to tell you thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And I wish you nothing but the best going forward in all the different endeavors you have going on. So I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Tom. I've enjoyed our partnership and enjoyed you and your team a lot as well, man. You guys are awesome, and I wish you guys the best.
Appreciate it.
All right, buddy.